Hola clase, as promised in the videos de vocabulario, we are going to do a rundown of stem changing verbs, how they're used, what they're used for, and what's the point and what's going on. So, in Spanish, you have three kinds of stem changing verbs. You have E to IE, O to UE, and E to I. And those are the three videos that we broke your vocabulary down into. So in order to know what kind of stem change they are, you have to memorize them in groups of their stem change. There's no other way to really know, other than the fact that obviously there's not gonna, like, if it's an E originally, then it goes to IE. If it's an O, then there's only one option. It goes to UE. If it's an E, so if it's an E though, you could have either E to IE or E to I. But remember, there's only like three that are E to I. So you really only have to worry about knowing those three and then knowing that all the rest of them are E to IE. And then that way, if you see an E in the stem, you know it's a stem change to IE. If you see an O in the stem, you know it's a stem change to UE. Alright, so these verbs, the stem changing verbs, are also called boot verbs. The reason they're called boot verbs is because the stem changes in the shape of a boot once you put the verb into the chart. So I don't know if you can kind of tell, it's like tall over here and then short over there. So like this is the idea of the boot shape. So if you look at it, the endings are exactly the same as a normal ER verb that we've already learned. So we're building on our verb knowledge. We're not changing anything. We're just building on it, okay? So the ending is still OSA hemos en, OSA hemos en, OSA hemos en. They're always going to be the same. You just have to worry about adding in a little bit of a stem change. And these examples are the three most common of the stem changing verbs. So that's why I've given you them here. So you change the E from the stem into an IE when you conjugate. So it's quiero, quieres, quiere, queremos, quieren. Because you do not change the nosotros form. You never change the nosotros form. So even if you're doing a test that has stem changing verbs in it, if it's asking you for the nosotros form, don't even worry about which kind of stem change it is because it doesn't have one. Muy bien, but only in the nosotros form, right? So every other form, well, except for the vosotros form, which we're not learning in this class, has a stem change in it. So quiero, quieres, quiere, queremos, quieren. And then poder is puedo, puedes, puede, podemos, pueden. It's not podo, it's puedo. You just change that O to a UE. And the same thing happens with servir, only it's an E to an I. So you change the E to an I when you conjugate. Sirvo, sirve, sirve, servimos, sirven. But you have to know your original endings from back in the other chapters, right? So any ER verb is still going to end with all the ER endings. Any IR verb is going to end with all the IR endings. Remember that ER and I are exactly the same, except for in the nosotros when they keep their original vowels. So podemos, servimos. The original vowel was an E, it kept the E. The original vowel was an I, it kept the I. So, muy bien, I hope that explains that. Now I'd like to go into tener and venir. These are special. Tener we already know, but if you remember, tener is an E to an IE stem change. We just didn't talk about it like that. So now you already know one E to IE stem change in the form of tener. Tienes, tiene, and tienen. But tener and venir have funky endings on the yo form. They're called yo-go verbs. And sometimes there's 16 verbs in Spanish that have this strange yo ending. And so it's not always yo-go, but most of the time it's yo-go. And so these ones are called yo-go verbs. And in the yo form, they have go on the end instead of just o. And when they have a yo-go form or a strange yo form, which isn't very often, when they do have that, the stem change only happens in the bottom three. And so it's more like a shoe verb instead of a boot verb, if that makes any sense to you. The only thing that's different about tener and venir is that tener is an ER verb, so it has an E here, and venir is an IR verb, so it has an I. Venimos instead of venemos. Tenemos and venimos. So it's vengo, vienes, viene, venimos, vienen, and it means to come. Tener is to have, as you already know. Muy bien. So, I think that's it. I hope you don't have any questions. If you do, contact me y nos vemos. Adiós.